The council chamber stretched across 3 kilometers of gleaming crystal. 47 species sat in their designated sections, their forms ranging from gaseous clouds to rock-like beings that barely moved. Ambassador Chen Wei stood in the human section, a tiny box near the back where the newest members always sat. The Krithax Dominion occupied the center platform. They were massive creatures, twice the height of humans, with 4 arms and scales that shimmered like oil on water. For 12,000 years they had ruled the Galactic Council. Every species feared them. Every species obeyed them. Chen pressed the request button on his console. A soft chime echoed through the chamber. The Krithax High Commander Velthor turned one of his 3 eyes toward the human section. The primitives wished to speak, Velthor announced. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Not cruel laughter, but the kind adults make when a child says something amusing. Chen kept his face neutral. He had learned this much in his 2 years representing Earth. Show no anger, show no fear. Just speak clearly and hope they listen. Honorable Council, Chen began. 3 of our colony ships have been attacked in the past month. Pirates from the Vextal region. We request permission to deploy defensive fleet elements to protect our trade routes. More laughter. A blob-like delegate from the Quillan Collective made a gurgling sound that Chen's translator rendered as, "How adorable." Velthor raised one clawed hand. The chamber fell silent. Ambassador Chen, your species relies on... What do you call them? Bullets? He said the word as if it tasted bad. You throw metal at your enemies. Like cavemen throwing rocks. We use kinetic weapons, yes, Chen said carefully. But our escort vessels are quite capable of... Denied, Velthor interrupted. The Council does not permit Category 4 species to deploy military vessels beyond their home system. You may purchase escort services from approved contractors. This discussion is closed. Chen sat down. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair, but his face remained calm. Around the galaxy, 47 species used plasma weapons, energy beams, and gravity manipulators. Only humans still used guns and missiles. It made them a joke. 3 weeks later, Captain Sarah Okonkwo sat in the command chair of the UES Dauntless. Through the viewport, she could see the 5 human freighters they were escorting, fat ships, slow ships carrying manufactured goods to the colony on Proxima 7. Contact, her sensor officer called out. Multiple ships emerging from hyperspace. Configuration matches Vextal pirates. Sarah leaned forward. How many? 6 vessels. Frigate class. Sarah tapped her console. The Dauntless was alone. The approved contractors the Council had recommended cost too much. Earth's government had quietly decided to send one of their own ships instead. If the Council found out, there would be diplomatic consequences. But losing 3 cargo ships in a month had worse consequences. Hail them, Sarah ordered. The pirate response came immediately. Human vessel, stand down. We are claiming your cargo. Do not resist. Sarah looked at her weapons officer, Lieutenant Marcus Chen, no relation to the ambassador. Marcus, is the package ready? Marcus nodded slowly. The package. That's what they called it. The magnetic accelerator cannon mounted along the Dauntless's spine. 400 meters of superconducting coils that could accelerate a tungsten slug to 15% of light speed. Earth's engineers had built it in secret. They had tested it in secret. And now, far from home, far from the Council's watching eyes, Sarah had to decide if she would use it. They're firing on the freighters. The sensor officer reported. Energy weapons. The shields are holding, but not for long. Sarah made her decision. Marcus, target the lead pirate vessel. Fire when ready, the Dauntless hummed. Power from the fusion reactor flooded into the railgun's coils. The tungsten slug, weighing half a ton, sat in the firing chamber. Magnetic fields grabbed it, pulled it, accelerated it down the barrel. The slug left the Dauntless at 45,000 kilometers per second. It crossed the distance to the pirate ship in less than 3 seconds. The pirate's shields, designed to deflect plasma and lasers, might as well have been tissue paper. The slug punched through the shield, through the hull, through the reactor and out the other side. The pirate ship exploded. Not in a Hollywood fireball, but in a flash of light as metal turned to vapor. The other 5 pirate ships immediately jumped to hyperspace, fleeing as fast as their engines could carry them. Target destroyed, Marcus said. His voice was quiet, almost confused. Ma'am, the slug kept going. Sarah looked at the trajectory plot. The tungsten slug, barely slowed by passing through the pirate ship, continued on its path. At 0.15 light speed, it would keep traveling for years, forever, until it hit something. 2 days later, the council's emergency session began. Every delegate was present. The chamber was silent. Velthor's scales had turned a dark purple, which Chen had learned meant anger or fear, possibly both. The humans, Velthor said slowly, have destroyed the monument of Vextal Prime. Chen stood. He had been summoned immediately after the reports came in. High Commander, I am told that our escort vessel defended a convoy against pirates. I was not aware that any monument was damaged. Damaged? Velthor's voice rose. Your weapon, your primitive metal slug, continued traveling after destroying the pirate vessel. It struck the monument of Vextal Prime. The monument was 2 million kilometers from the battle. The slug had not slowed. The monument and the station surrounding it no longer exist. The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted in dozens of languages. Some demanded human expulsion from the council. Others called for sanctions. A few simply stared at Chen in horror. Velthor raised all forearms. Silence fell. Ambassador Chen, this council banned kinetic weapons 8,000 years ago. You will surrender all such weapons immediately. You will submit to inspection. You will— No, Chen said. The silence that followed was absolute. No one said no to the Dominion. No one. Explain yourself, Velthor said, his voice dangerously soft. Chen took a breath. My government has reviewed the council's laws. Kinetic weapons are banned above 0.01 light speed. Our weapon fired at 0.15 light speed. This is true. However, Earth never signed that treaty. We were not members of this council 8,000 years ago. We are not bound by laws we did not agree to. Then you will agree now, Velthor said, or face the consequences. Chen looked around the chamber. 47 species. All of them watching. All of them waiting to see if humanity would bow. We will defend ourselves, Chen said quietly, with whatever weapons we possess. The council's physics team worked for 3 days straight. They analyzed every sensor reading from the Dauntless's weapon. They studied the trajectory of the tungsten slug. They calculated, recalculated, and calculated again. Dr. Thexelin, a mantis-like being from the Scalarium species, presented the findings. His voice clicked and whistled, translated into dozens of languages simultaneously. The energy required to stop this projectile is 900 times greater than the energy required to fire it. The chamber was silent. Delegates processed this information. Some looked confused. Others looked sick. Explain in simple terms, Velthor demanded. Thexelin's antennae twitched nervously. High Commander, our shields work by redirecting energy. Plasma, lasers, particle beams, we push them aside or absorb them. But a solid object moving at relativistic speeds. He paused. There is too much momentum. The shields cannot redirect it. They simply fail. What about multiple shields? Someone asked. It does not matter. 1 shield or 100 shields. At these speeds, matter is matter. Solid metal carries more kinetic energy than any energy weapon we possess. The human projectile that destroyed the monument, it hit with the force of a small nuclear weapon, and it was only half a ton of tungsten. A delegate from the peaceful Yulian Harmony spoke up. Surely our armor makes it worse, Thexelin interrupted. When a relativistic projectile hits armor, both the armor and the projectile vaporize. The expanding plasma is often more destructive than the initial impact. The Vextal monument was not simply destroyed. It was converted to gas. Velthor's scales shifted to dark purple again. Why did we ban these weapons? An elderly delegate from the archival species shuffled forward. She was small, wrinkled, and had been alive for over 300 years. I remember the war, she said softly. Though it was long before most of you were born, the chamber leaned forward. The archival species rarely spoke. When they did, people listened. The Builders' civilization, she continued. They were the most advanced species in the galaxy. They had technology we still cannot replicate. But they had rivals. 2 factions fighting for control. And they both discovered the same truth the humans have just shown us. Kinetic weapons are simple. Kinetic weapons are cheap. And kinetic weapons, when accelerated fast enough, are unstoppable. She tapped a control. Holograms appeared above the chamber. Star systems rendered in 3 dimensions. Except many of the systems were marked in red. The dead zones, she said. 23 star systems where nothing can live. The space between those systems is filled with debris moving at relativistic speeds. Millions of projectiles fired during the Builders' War, still traveling through space. Any ship that enters those regions is destroyed. Any planet in their path is sterilized. The builders fired so many kinetic weapons that they created permanent death traps in the galaxy. She looked directly at Chen. The builders destroyed themselves. Their civilization collapsed not because one side won, but because both sides made the galaxy unlivable. After their fall, the surviving species created this council. And the very first law, the most sacred law, was this: no kinetic weapons above 0.01 light speed. We did not know, Chen said quietly. Earth's history has wars, yes, terrible wars. But we never fought across multiple star systems. Ignorance is not an excuse, Velthor said. You have violated the first law. You will surrender your weapons. Chen straightened. No. We will not. Then we will take them by force, Velthor replied. 2 days later, Chen received an encrypted message from Earth. He read it 3 times to make sure he understood correctly. Then he requested an emergency session with the council. When the delegates assembled, Chen stood at the central podium. The Galactic Council has demanded that Earth surrender its kinetic weapons, he began. My government has sent a response. But first they wish to demonstrate something. We do not need demonstrations, Velthor said. We have seen what your weapons can do. No, Chen said. You have seen what our smallest weapon can do. The chamber fell silent. Every delegate stared at Chen. The Dauntless carries 1 railgun, Chen continued. A prototype. We built it to test the technology. But that was 20 years ago. We have had 2 decades to improve the design. To scale it up, he activated his console. Images appeared throughout the chamber. Massive structures in space. Rings around planets. Networks of satellites and stations. For 200 years, humanity has built infrastructure in our solar system. We use magnetic accelerators to move cargo. We launch ore from asteroid mines to processing stations. We boost supply ships to our outer colonies. Every day we accelerate thousands of tons of material using the same technology as our railgun. A delegate from the mercantile Torgon species leaned forward. You built weapons into your cargo systems? No, Chen said. We built cargo systems that could become weapons. Every mass driver in the solar system can be recalibrated. Every cargo launcher can fire projectiles instead of supply containers. Velthor stood. You are threatening the council? I am informing the council, Chen replied. You demanded to know our capabilities. Here they are. We can launch projectiles from Earth, from Luna, from Mars, from the asteroid belt. We can accelerate them to 0.25 light speed. And we have been stockpiling ammunition. He showed another image. Tungsten rods, millions of them, floating in orbital warehouses. Each rod weighs 10 tons. We have 500,000 of them, and we can manufacture more at a rate of 10,000 per month. The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted, argued, and demanded explanations. Some called Chen a warmonger. Others simply looked terrified. We do not wish for war, Chen said, speaking over the noise. But we will not be defenseless. You dismissed us as primitives. You laughed at our kinetic weapons. But our primitiveness is precisely why we are dangerous. We did not forget how to throw rocks. We just learned to throw them faster. Velthor's forearms trembled. This is insanity. You would turn the galaxy into another dead zone? Only if forced to defend ourselves, Chen replied. We propose an alternative. Mutually assured deterrence. Give us our rightful place on this council. Recognize our sovereignty. And we will share our technology with species who wish only to defend themselves. Never, Velthor spat. The Dominion will not bow to primitives. Chen met his gaze. Then the Dominion should be very careful not to give us a reason to fire. The council demanded proof. They wanted to see the scale of humanity's capabilities. They wanted to know if Chen was bluffing. Earth's government agreed to a demonstration. They chose an uninhabited star system on the edge of known space. Every major species sent observation ships to watch from a safe distance. Admiral Hassan stood on the bridge of the UES Sovereignty. Around him, his crew worked quietly, professionally. This was humanity's moment. The galaxy was watching. Target confirmed, the navigation officer reported. Asteroid KX-447, mass approximately 50 million tons. Hassan nodded. The asteroid had been selected because it was large, stable, and in a predictable orbit. After the demonstration, it would not be in orbit at all. All stations, this is Admiral Hassan. Begin acceleration sequence. Across the Sol system, hundreds of mass drivers activated. On Luna, in the asteroid belt on Mars, on orbital platforms, magnetic coils powered up. The tungsten slug they would fire today was not a half-ton prototype. It was a solid cylinder of tungsten measuring 30 meters long and 5 meters wide. It weighed 5,000 tons. The Council observers watched their sensors as energy readings spiked across human space. A Quellon scientist aboard one of the observation ships made gurgling sounds of disbelief. "That power level cannot be right," she said to her colleagues. "They are channeling enough energy to run a small city into a single projectile," her assistant added quietly. In Sol system, the final calculations completed. The asteroid's position, velocity, and trajectory had been measured down to the centimeter. The projectile's launch window was measured in microseconds. "All systems green," the weapons officer reported. "Ready to fire on your command." Hassan took a breath. "Fire!" The magnetic pulse traveled through hundreds of kilometers of superconducting coils. The tungsten cylinder accelerated smoothly, building speed. In 3 seconds, it left the mass driver at 75,000 kilometers per second. 1/4 the speed of light. The observation ships tracked it. The projectile was moving so fast that even light-speed sensors had difficulty following it. It would take the slug 3 weeks to reach its target, but every ship in the galaxy could calculate exactly where it would be at any moment. "Projectile away," Hassan announced. "Impact in 21 days, 4 hours, and 17 minutes." On the bridge of the Krethax observation vessel, Commander Zelkoth watched the numbers scroll across his display. "They really did it," he said softly. "They weaponized their entire solar system." His science officer nodded. "Yes, Commander. And that projectile, our shields would not even slow it down." 21 days later, every major species had ships in position. They maintained a distance of 10 million kilometers from the target asteroid. At these ranges, they would be safe from debris. The tungsten cylinder arrived exactly on schedule. Exactly on target. It struck the asteroid at 0.25 light speed. At those speeds, matter behaves strangely. The tungsten did not simply punch through the asteroid. The kinetic energy converted both the projectile and a massive chunk of the asteroid into plasma. Temperatures spiked to millions of degrees. The asteroid, all 50 million tons of it, shattered, but the energy release was not finished. The plasma expanded outward at significant fractions of light speed. The remaining fragments of the asteroid, superheated and moving at tremendous velocities, scattered across the star system. For exactly 7 minutes, the target area glowed. From the observation ships, it looked like a second sun had briefly appeared in the system. When the light faded, the asteroid was gone. In its place was an expanding cloud of gas and small debris. "Mother of oceans," the Quellon scientist whispered. Her translator caught the phrase, though it lost the religious significance in translation. On the Dominion vessel, Commander Zelkoth ran the numbers. "If that had been a planet?" "Extinction-level impact," his science officer replied. "Nothing larger than bacteria would survive. The atmosphere would be stripped away. The oceans would boil." Back on Earth, Ambassador Chen received reports from multiple sources. The demonstration had been witnessed. The message had been received. And now responses were coming in. 17 species requested immediate diplomatic meetings with Earth. Not with the Council. With Earth directly. The peaceful Yulian Harmony sent a simple message. "We wish to purchase defensive kinetic systems." The mercantile Torgon species was more direct. "Name your price for weapon systems and exclusive trade rights." Even the Vextal, the same species whose pirates had triggered this crisis, sent a formal apology and a request for trade negotiations. But the Dominion was silent. Captain Sarah Okonkwo sat in a debriefing room on Earth. Across from her sat 3 admirals, 2 generals and Ambassador Chen. "You fired the first shot," one of the admirals said. "It was not an accusation, just a statement of fact." "I defended a convoy," Sarah replied, "following my orders." "And changed the galaxy," Chen added. He looked tired. "Every species now knows what humans can do. Some are frightened. Some want to be our allies. And the Dominion," he trailed off. "The Dominion is planning something," one of the generals said. "Our intelligence suggests they are assembling a war fleet. The largest fleet in thousands of years." Sarah felt cold. "How large?" 300,000 ships. "Every vessel the Dominion controls." The room was silent. 300,000 ships. The Dominion was calling humanity's bluff. They believed that overwhelming numbers could defeat kinetic weapons. They believed that speed and coordination could overcome simple physics. When? Sarah asked. Within the month. They will quantum jump directly to Earth's orbit. Their shields will be at maximum. They think they can weather our initial barrage and then destroy our infrastructure before we can reload. Admiral Hassan, who had overseen the demonstration, spoke for the first time. They are wrong. We knew this might happen. We prepared for it. He activated a holographic display. It showed the Sol system. But now added to the map were thousands of new objects, small objects, projectiles already in flight. We launched these 2 months ago, Hassan explained, long before the Council's ultimatum. Long before our demonstration, we calculated every possible quantum jump point an enemy fleet could use to attack Earth, and we fired projectiles to intercept those points. Sarah understood immediately. You made a minefield. A minefield of relativistic projectiles. Exactly. The Dominion can jump anywhere they want, but we have already filled the likely arrival zones with tungsten slugs. They will emerge from quantum space directly into our weapons. Chen looked at the display. Thousands of projectiles, each moving at 0.2 light speed, each carrying enough kinetic energy to vaporize a ship. If they jump to Earth? Hassan smiled grimly. Then they jump into the largest ambush in galactic history. The Dominion war fleet assembled in the Kelvac system, 300 light-years from Earth. 300,000 ships filled the space around the system's star. Dreadnoughts the size of cities, carriers holding thousands of fighters, cruisers bristling with weapons. High Commander Velthor stood on the bridge of the Eternal Conquest, the Dominion's flagship. Around him, his officers prepared for the jump to Earth. They had planned this operation for weeks. Every detail had been considered. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Velthor gazed at the holographic display showing his fleet. The greatest military force ever assembled. The humans think their rocks can stop us, he said. They forget that we have ruled this galaxy for 12,000 years. We have fought wars they cannot imagine. His strategic advisor, Commander Zelkoth, shifted uncomfortably. High Commander, our intelligence suggests the humans may have anticipated our approach. Perhaps we should. We have 300,000 ships, Velthor interrupted. They have one planet. Even if their kinetic weapons destroy half our fleet, we will still overwhelm them. Yes, High Commander. Velthor raised one clawed hand. All ships. Jump coordinates locked on Earth's orbital space. Maximum shields upon emergence. Fire on all planetary defense platforms immediately. Begin jump sequence. Throughout the fleet, quantum drives activated. Space twisted. And 300,000 Dominion ships vanished from the Kelvac system. On Earth, Admiral Hassan watched the countdown. 3 minutes until the Dominion fleet arrived. 2 minutes. 1 minute. All defense platforms armed, his weapons officer reported. Mass drivers charged. Counter battery systems active. Hassan nodded. Around Earth, Luna, and Mars, every defense installation was ready. But the real trap was already sprung. The projectiles were already in position. 30 seconds, the sensor officer called out. Hassan activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Hassan. Hold fire on my command. Let them arrive. Let them see what they have jumped into. The Dominion fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect formation. 300,000 ships materialized in Earth's orbital space, their shields glowing with power. For exactly 2 seconds, they were triumphant. Then the first tungsten slugs arrived. The projectiles had been fired weeks ago, timed to intercept the most likely jump points. The Dominion had emerged exactly where human strategists predicted. And now they sat in the middle of a weapons envelope moving at 0.2 light speed. The impacts began. Dominion shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, did nothing against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The first wave of slugs tore through the formation like a shotgun blast through paper. Ships exploded. Not with fire, there is no fire in space, but with the bright flash of matter converting to energy. Entire cruisers vanished in microseconds. Carriers split apart, their internal structures unable to handle the stress of hypervelocity impacts. On the Eternal Conquest's bridge, alarms screamed. Velthor stared at his displays in disbelief. Report. Contacts. Thousands of contacts. Kinetic projectiles throughout our formation. The tactical officer's voice was panicked. Shields are not stopping them. Ships are breaking up across all battle groups. Evasive maneuvers, Velthor ordered. But at relativistic speeds, there was no time for evasive maneuvers. The projectiles were already among them. More ships died, then more. The battle network lit up with distress signals. 90 seconds after arrival, 270,000 Dominion ships were destroyed or disabled. The survivors scattered, trying desperately to escape the killing zone. Now Earth's defense platforms opened fire. Fresh railgun rounds streaked out, targeting the fleeing ships. Mass drivers on Luna added their weight to the barrage. The defensive fire was not random. Every shot had been calculated, every trajectory planned. A Dominion carrier attempted to jump to hyperspace. A tungsten rod caught it mid-transition. The ship tore apart, half in normal space and half in the quantum realm. Commander Zelkoth watched his display with horror. 300,000 ships, the pride of the Dominion, reduced to 30,000 in less than 3 minutes. "Hi, Commander," he said quietly. "We must surrender." Velthor's scales had gone from purple to gray, a color Zelkoth had never seen before. The High Commander stared at the tactical display. 70 ships destroyed every second. The mathematics were simple. At this rate, the entire fleet would be gone in 7 minutes. "How?" Velthor whispered. "How did they know exactly where we would emerge?" "They fired blind weeks ago," Zelkoth explained. "They saturated every possible jump point with projectiles. It does not matter that most of their shots missed. Enough of them hit. On Earth, Admiral Hassan watched the Dominion fleet die. A part of him felt sick. This was not glory. This was slaughter. But it was necessary slaughter. The Dominion had come to destroy Earth. They had brought overwhelming force. They had been certain of victory. They had forgotten that in war, technology matters less than strategy. And strategy matters less than physics. Incoming message from the Dominion flagship, his communications officer reported. Hassan nodded. "Put it through." Velthor's image appeared. The proud High Commander looked broken. "We surrender, please." "Stop firing." Hassan gestured to his weapons officer. "Cease fire. All platforms hold." The railgun barrage stopped. The Dominion survivors drifted in Earth's orbit, their shields down, their weapons powered off. "High Commander," Hassan said formally, "your fleet will remain in orbit. You will make no aggressive moves. Any ship that activates weapons or attempts to jump will be destroyed. Do you understand?" "Yes." Velthor's voice was barely a whisper. Hassan switched to another channel. "This is Admiral Hassan to all Galactic Council members. The Dominion attack on Earth has been repelled. Dominion forces have surrendered. Earth claims the right of defense under all galactic laws." Across the galaxy, species watched the aftermath. The debris field around Earth told the story. The most powerful military force in galactic history had been destroyed in minutes. By rocks. By simple tungsten slugs accelerated to absurd speeds. On the observation ship from the Yulian Harmony, the captain turned to her crew. "Record everything," she said softly. "We have just witnessed the end of the old order. The galaxy will never be the same." Back on the Eternal Conquest, Velthor sat in his command chair. Around him, his bridge crew worked to organize the survivors. 30,000 ships remained from 300,000. 1 in 10 had survived. "Commander Zelkoth," Velthor said quietly, "send a message to all Dominion territories. Tell them the humans have won." Zelkoth hesitated. "High Commander, the Council will want to know." "The Council will know soon enough. The Dominion's reign is over. Ended by primitives who never forgot how to throw rocks." Velthor's laugh was bitter. "We thought ourselves so advanced, so superior. We forgot the universe's simplest truth." "What truth, High Commander?" "That force equals mass times acceleration. And the humans have mastered both." The Galactic Council chamber had never been so full. Every species sent their highest representatives. Even species that rarely left their homeworld sent delegates. They came to witness history. The Dominion section sat empty except for Commander Zelkoth. High Commander Velthor had resigned in disgrace. The Dominion's government had collapsed. Their emperor had abdicated. In one battle, 12,000 years of supremacy had ended. Ambassador Chen stood at the central podium. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Earth. 6 months of negotiations, treaties, and careful diplomacy. "Honored delegates," Chen began, "we are here to vote on the Kinetic Age Accords. These accords will reshape how our galaxy approaches defense and security." A delegate from the archival species stood. She was the same elderly woman who had explained the Builders' War. Ambassador Chen, your proposal frightens many of us. You wish to share kinetic weapons technology with any species that requests it. This could lead to another dead zone catastrophe. Chen nodded. I understand your fear. But consider the alternative. For 12,000 years, the Council maintained peace through the Dominion's dominance. One species held all the power. One species decided who could have weapons. One species controlled everyone else. And it worked, someone called out, did it? Chen asked. Pirates attacked our colonies with impunity. Smaller species were exploited. The Council dismissed our defensive needs with laughter. That is not peace. That is oppression by a different name. Zelkoth stood. The ambassador is correct. The Dominion, my people used our strength to control, not to protect. We believed ourselves superior. We were wrong, Chen continued. The Kinetic Age Accords propose a different model. Mutually assured deterrence. Every species capable of extinction-level kinetic strikes means no species dares to oppress another. Armed societies are polite societies. But the Builders' War, the archival delegate protested, the dead zones, happened because two factions fought for supremacy, Chen replied. Neither could accept losing. But if everyone has the ability to destroy everyone else, then no one can win by aggression. War becomes impossible because victory becomes impossible. A delegate from the peaceful Yulian Harmony spoke. You are proposing to make the galaxy more dangerous to make it more safe? Yes, Chen said simply. Earth's history includes a period we call the Cold War. Two human nations had weapons that could destroy all life on our planet. For 50 years, they opposed each other. And for 50 years, they never used those weapons. Because both sides knew that starting a war meant ending the world. But you are only one species on one planet, the Yulian delegate said. The galaxy has 47 species across 10,000 worlds. Which is why the Accords include strict regulations, Chen explained. Kinetic weapons may only be used in defense. Any species that fires first without provocation will face sanctions from every other species. We will share detection technology so every launch is visible to everyone. Transparency, not secrecy. The debate continued for hours. Some species supported the Accords immediately. Others were hesitant. A few opposed them entirely. Finally, the vote was called. The results appeared on displays throughout the chamber. 39 species in favor, 6 against. 2 abstaining. The Kinetic Age Accords passed. Chen felt relief wash over him. It was not perfect. But it was better than the old system. Better than domination by the strongest. Over the following months, Earth began sharing technology. The Yulian Harmony requested defensive mass drivers. The Torgon species purchased plans for magnetic accelerators. Even some former Dominion colonies requested Earth's help building their own defense networks. Captain Sarah Okonkwo, now Admiral Sarah Okonkwo, commanded the first joint human-alien fleet. Her flagship was the UES Unity, a new class of vessel designed with input from 17 species. She stood on the bridge with her crew. Humans, yes, but also a Kelon navigator, a Yulian tactical officer, and a young Dominion engineer who had requested asylum on Earth. Admiral, her communications officer called. We have a distress signal from a colony in the outer reaches. Pirate attack, Sarah smiled. Set course. Maximum speed. Let us show these pirates what happens when you threaten peaceful settlements. The Unity jumped to hyperspace. With it went 50 other ships. Human vessels, Yulian frigates, Torgon corvettes. An alliance fleet responding to a threat. The pirates took one look at the approaching force and fled without firing a shot. Back on Earth, Ambassador Chen met with a group of students from the Diplomatic Academy. They were young, eager, and full of questions. Ambassador Chen, one student asked, some people say you started a war. Others say you prevented one. Which is true? Chen thought about his answer. Both, perhaps. We demonstrated that humanity would not be victims. We showed the galaxy that even primitives can be dangerous. But we also showed them a path forward. A way for everyone to be equals. Do you think the Kinetic Age Accords will last? Another student asked. I do not know, Chen admitted. Peace is not a destination. It is a constant effort. But I believe we have given the galaxy a chance to move beyond domination and submission, a chance for true cooperation. Years later, on a frontier colony world, a human teacher stood before a classroom of mixed species. Human children sat beside Dominion youth, Yulian students, and Torgon apprentices. Today, the teacher said. We will learn about the Battle of Earth. Can anyone tell me why it was important? A Dominion child raised her hand. Because the humans reminded us that simple solutions can be powerful solutions? Very good, the teacher said. The galaxy had become so focused on advanced technology that we forgot basic principles. We forgot that physics does not care about sophistication. Energy is energy. Momentum is momentum. My father says the humans taught us an old Earth saying. A human boy added, walk softly and carry a big stick. The Dominion child looked confused. What does that mean? The teacher smiled. It means be peaceful but be ready to defend yourself. Be kind but be strong. And if possible, make sure your stick moves at 1/4 of light speed. The class laughed. Even the Dominion children laughed. They had been born into a different galaxy than their parents. A galaxy where no single species ruled. A galaxy where peace came not from one power dominating all others, but from everyone respecting everyone else. In her retirement home on Luna, Admiral Sarah Okonkwo looked out at the stars. She was old now. Her hands shook, but her mind was clear. She thought about that day on the Dauntless, the day she fired the first railgun shot, the day she changed the galaxy without meaning to. Did I do the right thing? She wondered aloud. Her granddaughter, visiting from Earth, squeezed her hand. Grandmother, 47 species live in peace now. No one rules over anyone else. No one is dismissed as primitive. Yes, you did the right thing. Sarah smiled. We just threw rocks. Very fast rocks. Sometimes, her granddaughter said, the simplest solutions are the best ones. Sarah looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships patrolled alongside alien vessels. Former enemies worked together. The galaxy had changed. All because humanity had never forgotten that velocity is the ultimate equalizer, and that sometimes the most advanced thing you can do is remember the basics.